Hey, Littlepip, do you want to watch an animation now about you? Me too! Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to a very special reaction and review. And yes, I have little, little, even littler Littlepip here. Um, Let me put Littlepip over here to the side, or I can let her watch the animation as well. I wonder if she would sit right here, Littlepip. Would she? Yeah, she'd sit right there. She'd sit right there watching. I'm here with a very special reaction and review, which is to, can you see? A little, to a very beautiful looking animation, which is Save the Hostages, Fallout Equestria SFM by Visega Old Cinema. Now this is Source Filmmaker, and it just came out this year. And again, I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see people are still making animations for Fallout Equestria. Very happy to see that it is still extremely popular. And I freaking love Fallout Equestria myself. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and check this out. Check it out, and then I'll give a review for it. So I'll start the video in 3, 2, 1, click. The Sega Old Cinema presents. Let's check this out. Oh boy, Fallout Equestria.
I love those dear hearts and
Oh.
people.
Oh wow, that looks good. Oh wow. The Corvega. Oh my gosh, this is already beautiful. This is already beautiful. Really cool. Save the hostage.
Be calm, play it cool. Almost there.
Already, this is.
What the?
Whoa.
Goddesses! Oh, goddesses! Pony corpses everywhere. What the fuck is wrong with these ponies? How can anyone do this?
This is extremely well done.
Please help us. Huh? Please. No. No. This is beyond horror. This is. Please help.
This is from the beginning of the story, wasn't it?
Ponies? Okay. Hold on. Let me get you out of these cages.
This is from the beginning of the
Escape
story.
The wasteland and into pony hell.
That's Derpy, I believe.
There.
I thought it was.
Are you
Oh.
for real? I'm free?
Don't worry. They aren't going to hurt you again.
This is
I don't
beautifully
know what to say.
crafted. I
You don't
love
have
it.
to say anything. You're free now.
I
Say, do you
This is from the
think
radio
you
play.
could help me free the others? You know, just to speed things up before.
no, I can't stay here any longer. But here, take these supplies. I'm gonna just throw these away.
Right, shotgun.
No, you keep these. You're gonna need them out there. Some canned goods, a box of cake, and a hoop full of bottle caps amount to all her worldly possessions. Could the wasteland get any less fair? Could it suck any more? I really don't think it could.
But you saved me. If anything, here, take this shell I found. It should fit in that shotgun of yours.
Well, thanks. I'll take it.
No, thank you.
Well, that brings my ammo count to 2. Make it count, Pip. Make it count.
I freaking love this animation. It's so well done.
Oh shit!
Oh!
Take that, you twisted fuck!
This is incredibly well done.
A knife and a 357 Magnum. It'll have to do for now, I guess. Damn. There's still some more caged ponies. I've got something to take care of. I'll be right back. I promise.
It came from in here. Oh, boy, I'm gonna love tearing you apart.
Not if I get you first.
Dropped it.
Oh, hell no! Damn it! Without sets, I might as well be shooting in the dark.
I bet you taste real good. Yes.
Single shot.
Shooting at me?
You think you're funny, bitch?
Shoot!
Gotta get out of here.
Oh, where you going? Did the little pony get shot?
Oh, a kitchen? Fuck. Okay, think. Let's look everywhere, see what we can find. Oven, refrigerator, knives.
Hey!
Ammo boxes! Ooh, and a medical box! Yes! Got it!
That throwing knife.
Healing potion.
A cousin of mine had one
Goddesses.
exactly like that once. He ruined it.
Oh, that is so much better. Could use a little sugar, though.
Don't go in the kitchen, little pony. You're gonna get burned. Shut! It looks like you're out of knives, Missy. Why don't you just come out? Promise I'll let you die. Eventually.
Oh!
All right, little Pip. Don't forget what you're here for.
Oh! Dang, I wish you could do that in the game.
Ponies. They never say that levitating something up behind you trick. Whoa. There's one left. I'll be right back. Oh, hello. Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
That was so well done! That was absolutely gorgeous! I freaking love it! That was so well done! Oh my gosh! But that was so well done! Okay, I'm gonna move this before I drop it. Oh, the music. That was so well done! Fallout Equestria. Oh my gosh, that was so well done! I freaking love it! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I love this! I love it! I love it so dang much. Okay. Now first off, I want to say to the creator, Visega Old Cinema, I want to say first off, thank you so much for all the work and effort put into this. Thank you so much for all the work and effort put into this. This is absolutely amazing. It is incredibly well done. The animation is just beautifully crafted. I mean, the way that it flows, the movements, how that it syncs up with the audio play, or sorry, the radio play. It's incredibly well done, beautifully done. And so I really want to say thank you so much to all the effort that you put into it. I mean, it really paid off. And, pardon me, I really, really love this. It really paid off. And it kind of felt like watching it. It felt like I was watching an episode of Fallout Equestria, the series. I mean, I've been addicted to Fallout Equestria ever since I first started playing. Ever since I first started delving into Fallout Equestria, I have been addicted to it. And Fallout Equestria itself is what prompted me to actually get Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And if it wasn't for Fallout Equestria, I wouldn't have got those games. And so this animation here is just magnificently crafted. And again, listening to the radio play, the initial radio or the actual radio play before was amazing. And obviously they haven't updated it because of because the voice actors and everything schedules and things like that. They haven't actually been able to do anything more, to be able to do anything more with it. But again, I love it that people are still animating and doing things with Fallout Equestria, still doing animations like this. And so, to the Sega Old Cinema, thank you. Thank you, not just for creating this wonderful animation and so much heart and soul put into this to make it look beautiful like it is. Thank you so much for that. But thank you also for continuing. Thank you so much for choosing to do something with Fallout Equestria and continuing to crank out, and making just another amazing animation that people can continue to watch. And like me, I love seeing all these wonderful animations continuing with this story, even if it's something like doing things based within that story. And it's wonderful to see that creativity, to see what people can do with that, taking the initial story and making animations based around it, and audio plays as well. And it's just incredible to be able to see that, and I really, really love it. And so again, I want to say thank you so much for creating this. It's just absolutely wonderful. And going over some of the different animation aspects for this, I want to touch upon that. In the intro, we have as we go over the intro, we have a nice setting here, which is very, very, very reminiscent of Fallout 3. I mean, these campers were pretty common. I remember seeing a couple of these in Fallout New Vegas, but these are especially common in Fallout 3. These pool campers are especially common in Fallout 3, and it's really great to see them. It's really great to see the animator utilize that and be able to put stuff in here. You got this radio that's still playing. You got this dead pony, just this having long since rotted away, just lying there. And there's a lot of references and things like that to the initial Fallout universe, but it really does sell it. You have this nice nighttime scene. And again, I really credit the animator because they did the research, because in the beginning, whenever Fallout departed, whenever Littlepip left the stable, it was nighttime. And she had to experience the wasteland, the equestrian wasteland at night. And here it's night. You can see like the moon cascading down. You see the shadows. And you see the military vehicle over here. You see the camper. You see the twisted wreckage of one of the radio towers. You see the Corvega sign in the background, and you just see the remains of the wasteland. And of course, they're having to use the assets from Fallout 3 and some from Fallout New Vegas, possibly. But at the same time, it works because it really does help to fit in that world. And I really love whoever did this particular map design here. Really amazing detail. I love how everything was put here, how the camera pans back. I love what you did with the camera, how it pans back between the twisted wreckage of this radio tower, and how I really honestly love how that you started the animation inside of this camper, and it showed the radio and it backed up to like outside of the camper. It's very reminiscent to to Fallout 3, how the opening intro starts off inside of like an old wrecked bus, and it shows the radio and it backs up. So again, really good setting for that. I love what you did with that. It really does look great. And Again, I love the placement of everything here, and again, using the old 1950s audio, like soundtrack for that. Again, really, really well done. Love what you did with that. And then I also love how the placement of Little Pip, how the camera pans back to show her looking over the wasteland, like looking over this. And for me personally, I could look at this and say there are two situations that you could see Little Pip standing here, and there are two time frames that you can imagine that this is. First off, you can imagine that this is Little Pip having just ascended out of the stable. She has just now came out of the stable, and she is now looking around at the wasteland before her. This is her first time seeing it, seeing all the devastation. And another thing you can imagine is, since she's still standing here at the end of the animation, this is her after she's gone through some of the things that she has in the wasteland, and this is her kind of standing over the wasteland, seeing the devastation, knowing like there's like a mental battle inside of her. Part of her knows that there are people like the raiders, ponies like the raiders and things out there that wants to hurt others, and she's going to do her best to protect those that are being hurt, and she's going to right wrongs, and she's going to do what she can to be the light bringer, even though she has no idea that she's going to later become that. And there's also, like, this is a heckish wasteland, a result of greed, corruption, power. This is the result, and she's standing there seeing the remains of an old world, and she's seeing some life coming back to this world. And again, I love again the detail for the twisted wreckage here, and the placement of everything. It really, really is consistent, and I really love what you did with it. It really does look good. And again, I also want to also give credit to the modelers for creating the characters. You did a fantastic job with that, and I really love it. Now, of course, the intro itself starts off with the beginning, where Little Pip wanders into this room, and this is very early on in the story, whenever she first encounters the raiders and the hostages, and she has to free them. Now, the first thing that I really want to point out is the movements of the characters. The movements of the characters are really solid. They're really fluid. I really admire and love how much attention to detail that the animator put into this, because the characters' movements aren't rigid, they're not stiff, they're actually very fluid, and they move really, really well. And the facial expressions are really well timed, are really point on, and also the mouth movements are really spot on. Pardon me, are really spot on, really sync well. And again, the soundtrack. I know the animator had to use the audio files from had to use the audio files from the audio play, but again, it really, really synced up well. And I know the animator had to make the animation based around that, but again, I really credit them because they did a fantastic job. I don't see anything that is out of place, any animation that goes on longer than the actual audio file or vice versa. So again, it's really well timed, and I really admire the attention. I really, really admire the attention to detail with that. And that moment here, whenever Little Pip sees everything, and at first she's in a panic, she's trying to escape from outside. She comes inside, she steps in something, and she realizes she steps in something wet, and she turns around, and again, the facial expressions here really help to express what the character is feeling without the character actually not having to say anything. And then this one moment here, I gotta say, is really well done. Whenever you see the old burnt out terminal here, the camera begins to slowly pan around Little Pip, and you see her turn as she's seeing the rotted, the bones of the ponies before her. And a really awesome detail as well you hear that mental internal struggle of her going through a mental panic, like she's too shocked to actually speak verbally, but her mind is racing. And again, I love the attention to detail with her eyes, like with her eyes twitching, with her pupils and irises twitching in fear, and like she's quickly surveying the area, but she's in a panic. Again, I really love the camera movements here, and the audio track, how the camera slowly pans across the floor at a far distance to show just the chaos and just the horror before her. Really love that attention to detail. The camera movements are really well done with this, and really add a really nice atmospheric touch and build up to these scenes. That mixed with the audio track here that is playing, that sounds like an echo or like a whisper. Again, really love that. It fits perfectly in with that, and I absolutely love it. And this moment whenever Littlepip, she's standing there looking, and like her eyes, her pupils are shrunk, and she's breathing heavily, and she's like, she's like, her eyes are twitching, and she's on the brink of losing losing everything in her stomach. And she throws up, she vomits. And again, another little nice touch I really admire is it doesn't show the pony that is in the cage fully right off the bat, right up front. It just shows her mouth. And again, it helps to add a nice atmospheric touch to that, and I love how that is done. I really and really truly admire the attention to detail with the characters' movements, with their facial expressions, with the positions of the eyes, the movements, the eye movements, and again, the lip sync is matched up extremely well to the audio. It's matched up extremely well, and it really adds to that. I mean, because it's synced up so well, it really helps to add that. And again, I love how the camera is not just stationary throughout these shots. I love how the camera moves, how it suddenly zooms in or suddenly pans back. It adds a really nice atmospheric touch to the different scenes that are transpiring. The slow pans, the slow movements with the camera, or like the rigid movements with it. I love how it's not stationary, and it really adds a nice TV show effect to it. It adds a really nice TV show effect to it. And honestly, I would love it, no joke, if someone could animate like this, like a full Fallout Equestria series, and like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. And it would be great if it was webisodes, and like someone actually made a Source Filmmaker webisode series of Fallout Equestria. I know they'd have to get the audio track, but then again, they would have to end up getting some brand new voice actors to be able to voice the characters that had a bit more flexible schedules, that they could crank it out a little bit more quickly. But if they could actually work with the other voice actors who did the characters before in the in the radio play, that would be really great. And another thing that I really want to admire, that I want to say that I really admire, is how that they left the cuss words in. Because that was Littlepip's dialogue. That was her dialogue. That was how she spoke. That was her mentality in the fan fictions, and it was also how that she spoke in the audio play. And I know YouTube is a lot more supposed to be user-friendly now, but I'm really glad that they didn't cut out that audio, that they left it in, because it does feel more natural to Littlepip's character. And again, I really love the attention to detail with the characters here, like the streak of blood going down this character's face. And again, the movements with the head and the movements with the heads, the eyes, the mouth, just how the eyes and the mouth changes to help express the emotions that the characters are feeling. Again, it's incredibly well done, and I love how everything is just magnificently synced. Like the lip syncing is really well synced to the audio, and I love how that they did that. And I also love how that the characters don't make any more movements with their bodies than they have to. That's something that some people, now I can't name off any off the top of my head. I'm certainly not pointing fingers at anybody because, like I said, I can't remember any animations that did that. But it is kind of an easy mistake to try to like move the characters and okay, actually, I do remember vaguely seeing some animations. They weren't MLP animations. I don't remember what the animations were, but I'm pretty sure they weren't MLP animations. So it's nobody in the fandom. Um, but I remember seeing something or hearing someone do a review for some sort of animation, and basically the characters in the animation had more movements with their bodies than they needed to. They were moving a bit more frantically. It was like the characters were on acid because they were moving their bodies whenever they didn't need to. And I really admire how that there are moments in this animation whenever the characters are just standing stationary. They're just using like facial expressions, head gestures, and things like that to help tell or like express what the characters are actually feeling. Their bodies aren't making any more movements than they have to. And I really admire that because it's more natural. I really admire that they kept the audio in, a lot of the audio in for the characters, and just animated it around that. Really, 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 really well done. And they did a great job with the models for the characters, adding a few distinct features with the different characters. Such as scars on the characters' faces, things like that. Really admire how that they did that, and the use of sats, I think it was, in this right here, was really interesting. It felt different because this is the first time that I know of for me that I've seen a visible iteration of how VATS was in Fallout in an MLP animation. I'm kind of used to how that they did it in the actual Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. This is an interesting thing here with how this is done with these red bars around the character, but it really does work. It really does work. And again, also really glad that I'm also really happy that the animator or animators did not censor stuff. How they actually, like, whenever Littlepip shot the guy, no, you can't see a bullet entry. You cannot see an entry wound and like an exit wound. You cannot actually see the bullet traveling through him, but you can see what looks like blood splatter. Essentially, it's like with SFM. I don't think in like Team Fortress you can actually see bullet wounds on the characters. I'm pretty sure they can get blown apart, but you can't see blood like that. But it's kind of more cartoonish. And so this works within what the elements of the system will allow. But again, I'm really happy that they did not try to censor it. And like Littlepip shoots this guy, and you don't see it, and like he gets shot, he falls off screen. I'm really glad that they actually went the extra mile and actually had the guy falling down, and didn't try to censor it. Like they actually made it violent, and it does fit within the realm of what Fallout Equestria is. And I really don't give a crap about the whole user-friendly YouTube content deal. I really think that's stupid, and so I'm really happy that the animator did not hold back with that. And again, the placement of the camera angles really helps to add to the atmosphere with what is going on. And again, I really admire how that the characters' mouths aren't moving how they're not moving any more than they have to be. Like the characters' mouths are not moving at a point to where like their mouths are barely moving and it looks stiff, but they're not moving like this to the point that it looks like they're over exaggerating everything. I really admire, there's a really nice blend with how the characters, with the tone, with the pacing, with the amount of how the characters' mouths are actually moving in sync with the audio, and it's a really great job. It fits, it looks natural for the character models, and I love it. It really does look great. And again, I really love how that they did that. And again, to me personally, the body language, the facial expressions, the eye movements, head tilt gestures, the mouth movements, the lip syncing, it's all great. It all fits perfectly. There's not too much of one thing. There isn't not enough of this thing. It fits. It's all perfect for this, and I really love it. And it really does fit. And we see some of the other characters, and again, I really love how that they modeled, how that they gave some of the characters, like this character, a helmet. Which this looks like the helmet for the power armor helmet, but this also like a Raider helmet. And again, I really love how that they did that. And again, I like how that they made that so that it adds some diversity with the characters, and it's not just basic models. How each of the characters have a different level of armor to sort of represent maybe like different rank within that area. And it looks really good, and I really like how that they did that. And again, the camera positions, such as this scene here, whenever it shows the 357 Magnum firing, and then you see the guy just dropped in the hallway as Littlepip, like as another bullet ricochets around. Again, it's not overly violent that you see like every single bullet wound, but it shows just enough of what it has to. It shows just enough, and it leaves the rest up to your imagination. And so I think it's a really good blend, personally. Like, it's not showing an excessive amount of violence, like a lot of blood or anything like that, but it's not leaving it like it's child friendly. There's the right balance of violence and leaving the rest up to your imagination. And I really admire that. And essentially, it's kind of like with the original fan fiction. You know, like, you could imagine it in your mind as you read it. And so, however violent that you imagine it in your mind would differ from person to person. But it was all left up to your imaginations. Of course, there were detailing with the descriptions that allowed you to be able to paint the picture in your mind. But here, you actually can see visually some of the violence which is being portrayed, but you can't see every single bit of it. And so we don't see this character drop, but again, there's just enough to that you can imagine it in your mind off screen. It doesn't show too much, it shows just enough of what it shows what it needs to. And again, the lighting effects is also really good, such as whenever this Magnum goes off and we see this bright flash around Littlepip. And every time she fires, it shows that. Really well done. And again, there's little subtle mouth movements as well. Like Littlepip is keeping her teeth gritted in this scene. Her lips are moving, not in sync to what she's thinking, because she's having these inner thoughts. And so it's like she's gritting her teeth, but she's also breathing like through her mouth as well. And so again, it's very subtle. I'm really happy that they didn't animate the characters to be keeping their mouths closed whenever not in use. Again, it adds more of a realistic tone and feeling to seeing the characters' mouths moving little by little with these little subtle movements. Other scenes like this one where the camera is where like it shows Littlepip up against the wall, and you see the blurred wall over here to the left. Again, I love the camera positions and the panning of the camera, the close-ups and movements that it does. Like, there's not a moment the camera is zoomed in where it needs to add atmosphere and drama, but it's panned back where it needs to be to show the detail of the area around you, to be able to display that. And I really admire I really love the camera shifts, how like the movements, how the camera shows you just enough of what it needs to. I really admire that. And again, there's a lot of props and everything from both SFM and from Fallout itself placed in here. Now, like I said, these throwing knives here, these blades are reminiscent. I remember a cousin of mine bought one of these once before, one of these exact blades, and I remember him having that, and I remember he went on a camping trip and he ended up basically destroying the knife because he kept throwing it at a board or something, and he kept missing and hitting the concrete, so that he ended up bending the tip of it. And again, the really nice detail here, because they got because they have the 45 ACP, the 9mm incendiary incendiary 5.56. Okay, they have incendiary 9mm, incendiary 45, and again, really nice touch with that. And I have to admire, I mean, I have to say, I mean, I know that in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, there are a couple of things that you can actually throw at enemies. New Vegas had the throwing spears that the Legion would have. I don't think there was any throwing knives in the game. Kind of would have been interesting if you, I do wish that you could have throwing knives in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. That would be cool to have. And again, I love this moment whenever, I really do admire this moment whenever Little Pip sneaks up behind this guy, and she's pointing right at the back of his skull, ready to blow his brains out, and then boom! She just blows his brains out, and you see the blood splatter across the screen. And like, you see Little Pip turn her head, because you see Little Pip turn her head to keep the blood from going, for like the blood splatter from going in her eyes. I really like that effect. I also really like how that you see how they gave a glow to Little Pip's horn and to the gun. You know, it would be easy enough to forget to animate the glow around Little Pip's horn because of where she is a unicorn. But again, I really admire that attention to detail with that. And that moment whenever Little Pip picks up a radio and hits the guy over the head. Again, I really admire that both with the initial story and with this animation, because I really wish that in games, that is kind of an issue that I have with games typically, especially adventure games like that, like Resident Evil, any basic horror game or adventure game like that. Typically, you have all these objects around you, and you cannot pick them up. Like, oh, this object here I could use against the guy chasing me, but nope, I can't pick it up. It's put there as a backdrop prop, but I can't pick it up. And so I really admire that they actually take advantage of that in the story and here in the animation to show that. I really do wish that in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, how you could actually pick up more objects that are around you. Oh, here's a car tire. Why not pick it up and sling it at somebody? But no, you can't. Again, believe me, I freaking love Fallout. I freaking love Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, but again, that's just a nitpick that I have, not just with those games, but with any games. You know, you have a bad guy chasing after you, you have some sort of creature chasing after you, here's a suit of armor with an axe. Why can't you use it? And again, I really love the really badass scenes for Little Pip in this, too. Like that moment whenever the guy cusses because he got caught. And Little Pip's just smiling casually like, yep, I'm going to blow your dang brains out. And then that camera angle, whenever she smirks, then this really nice shot where you see Little Pip standing there in the light of the hallway, and again you see a soft glow green hue around her horn, around her hair, around the handle of the gun, and you see the glow from the Pip Buck. You see the glow from the Pip Buck as well. Really nice shot here. I love this scene. I love this lighting effect. And she just standing there smiling as the gun looms in at the guy's skull, and that the way that the camera just moves right there, or the way that the scene just flashes and then blacks out as the guy's shot. Again, I love that scene. And again, it helps to show how badass the Little Pip is. And again, this little scene here at the ending where we see Little Pip standing there again and the camera's just kind of having this little bit of a jiggle to it. I really like that as well. It really does look great. And so again, to the Sega Old Cinema, to the animator for this, thank you so much for all the work and effort that you put into this. This looks amazing. I absolutely adore this animation. It is beautifully crafted. It is incredibly well done. And I really adore this. Like I said, the background props are all beautiful. They really look great. Using the assets that you did to be able to create the landscape model for the first shot and ending shot, and then the interior shots that you did. I really admire that, and it was also really good planning, because since you used the interior shots, you didn't have to animate the entire background. You just had to place the interior props in there. So again, really good planning on that, but it worked. It worked great. And I love the placement of the props that you put in there. It wasn't too cluttered. It looked great. It wasn't too cluttered. Um, it was just enough stuff in front of Pip all around her to be able to give the impression, it's exactly what you would see in Fallout in FO3 and FO and FONV. And again, I really love again how the model of Little Pip is created, and I love how much attention to detail that you put into having the character move. Again, the body language of the character is really spot on. There's not too much body language. The character isn't moving erratically whenever she doesn't need to be. There's just the right amount of movement for the character to make it feel and look natural. The body language also has nice fluid movements. It's not too stiff. It's not too rigid. It's not jerky. The character has some nice fluid stationary movements. So the character is stationary whenever they need to be, and whenever the character is moving, it's not too quick. It's not too slow. It has just the right of speed and movement to it. I really admire that. And again, the way that the animator paired the facial expressions, eye movements, mouth movements, and everything, and the lip syncing together is just beautifully done. Is really spot on. Like I said, the character's eyes are not just stationary pieces. You can actually see the eyelids lifting and lowering. You can see the characters smirking. You can see their eyes narrowing. You can see them widening. Really, 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 really well done. It looks natural. It feels natural. It looks great. And then, like I said, the shrinking of the pupils as well adds a really nice touch to that. The shaking of the pupils whenever Little Pip enters the room and sees the dead corpses around her, again, really adds a really nice touch to that. The mouth movements, like I said, the mouth isn't too stiff. It's not just a stationary piece. It moves, and whenever the character isn't talking, you can see her mouth, you can see her lips parting, you can see her teeth, and you can see her tongue. And so again, I really admire that. It's just like a human being. Whenever you're not talking, sometimes you might stand there with your mouth completely closed. Other times you'll open it up to breathe or something. And so again, really admire that. It's really natural and it looks great. It adds a lot of attention to detail and adds a lot of detail to that to really make it look and feel natural. I love that. And then, like I said, I love the movements with the character, how the character moves around. I mean, how the character just moves throughout all of that, and the camera angles as well really add a nice touch to that. It really adds a nice atmospheric build. It helps with all of the shots, the movements, the times whenever the camera is moving slowly. I would rather those times whenever the camera was moving slowly, thinking about if the camera was stationary. A stationary camera in the times whenever it was moving, it would not have as much build. It would not have as much atmosphere to those scenes. So I'm really happy that you did go with the slow moving camera for some scenes. And again, the moments whenever the camera suddenly zoomed in quick and pan back quick, again, I really, really admire it. It really adds a nice atmospheric. It really adds atmosphere to the scene. It adds balance, and it really makes it feel like you're watching like a TV show. Like a really action-based oriented TV show about Fallout, Equestria, and again, feels like you're watching like a movie-based thing about it. It helps. It doesn't look professional in the sense. Now, no, I mean it looks great, and I mean it looks professional in the way that you did it. But I mean, it's not done in an over the top, like the camera positions and angles and movements. It's not done in an over the top Hollywood style way. That is a thing that I have against some action style movies, is whenever a camera is zoomed in too close to the action and all you're seeing, I mean, your eyes are struggling to comprehend what is going on around you because the camera is zoomed in too close, or there's a lot of action going on at one time. I really admire how you pan the camera back to focus on what was going on, and you did it in a very balanced way that your eyes and your mind are fully capable of understanding what is going on without having to struggle to say, what am I seeing? What is going on? I've seen action films before where the camera was too close to the action, or it was moving about erratically, and it was pretty much like seizure-inducing. One set of films that comes to mind basically is the Transformers films. Um, you see a lot of explosions and things going on. You see a lot of close camera shots, and especially in dark segments where suddenly it's dark, there's an explosion, your eyeballs retreat into the back of your skull, hiding from the light. And again, I really love the lighting that you did with this. It's bright, but not too bright to look like, oh, it's a field of daisies. You know, it's not bright to that extent, to that it looks like, oh, this is so lovely. No, it adds a nice feel to it. The lighting that you chose for this, it's not too bright, it's not too dark. I hate it whenever things like films use really dark filters, and I'm sitting there straining to try to make out what is on screen. I'm glad that you added the lighting effects that you did to make it look like it felt natural to Fallout. It felt like going into a room in Fallout in the daytime or at night when the lights are still on there, or you're using the Pip-Boy or Pip-Buck here to actually illuminate it. I really love what you did with that. And again, the camera wasn't moving too erratically or too slow or not moving at all, to the point that it looked, it was moving at just the right pace to not look lazy like a stationary camera, just all the time. There was movement with it to really add atmosphere to the scenes and really add some really bad A moments to it. Add some really nice action shots, some really good dramatic shots. And again, it wasn't too close to the character, like, oh, let's try to count the character's teeth here. Nor was it too far back. It was just the right placement to show the intensity of the scenes, the shots, and it really did look great. And so again, to Visega Old Cinema, to the person or all the people involved with this animation, thank you. Thank you so much for all the attention to detail that you put into this. This is a glorious, absolutely gorgeous and beautiful animation. I absolutely love it, and it's really wonderful to be able to see another animation for Fallout Equestria, and to be able to see so much heart and effort put into it. And this looks marvelous. I absolutely adore this. This is, right now, is definitely one of my most favorite SFM Fallout Equestria animations. And so, thank you again to everybody, or to the person that made this. This is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's extremely well crafted, extremely well done, and I can see all the heart and attention to detail that you put into this, and it really shows. And this is marvelous. I really, really love this. And so thank you again to all the effort that you put into it. I'm really looking forward to anything else that you do in the future. And again, I love seeing that creativity. And it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to see people using their talents to be able to create something fun that they enjoy doing, that they're having fun with, and to be able to do it in such a creative way. And I love seeing that, and this right here is full of it. This is full of creativity and just the way that you did it. And so again, thank you for that, and also thank you so much for making another Fallout Equestria animation and showing it and giving us something else Fallout Equestria based. And again, I love Fallout Equestria, and I love the Fallout franchise in general. And so to see something else with Fallout Equestria, I'm totally there. And so again, thank you so much for that as well. And again, major props to the animator or animators, to everybody involved with this. Major props to everybody for all the attention to detail, the heart and the passion that you put into this. It really shows. And so thank you all so much for that. And again, thank you for creating something again with Fallout Equestria, and continuing to keep that amazing universe, that amazing sub-fandom in the MLP fandom going. And so thank you for that. And again, to everybody to everybody watching, hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you enjoyed the review as well. And so again, thank you all so much, and hope you guys enjoyed. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.